All right, welcome back, guys. I got something really cool today for you guys who like direct connect. What this setup is a 1600 psi, 68 4500 Cerakote Superlight 2 bottle by Ninja, and these regulators, they're great. They're the Ninja X pressure regulator, and they will build these for us. At just about any pressure, because we like to run higher pressures than paintball, but they used to make the valves like paintball bottle regulator valves, and they stopped doing that, I guess because some guys were hooking them up to their markers and just blowing them up. Some probably, I think they'll even build these up to 3000 psi, but that's not really good for what we want them for. Anyway, yeah, I don't recommend going over 1600 psi with this type of regulator. With this type of a setup with one of these Blackbirds, it's just not worth it. The gun can probably take it, but you don't really gain much more after 1600 psi. The downside of using one of these for direct connect is you're pretty much stuck with where your gauge is once you screw it in. And as you can see with this one, it is on the exact opposite side of where I would want it. Alright, that being said, this is a Pro V2 regulator, super high pressure. It's at 1100 psi, and that is what they will build them at standard. And the benefit of that is you just loosen these set screws in this brass collar, and then you can turn it. Hard to do with one hand, but you can turn it so you can set what position you want your dial to be at, wherever you want it. You can have it facing up a little bit, so you just glance down to the side, wherever you want it. But they only normally build these up to 1100 psi output. But because they know what I'm up to and what we do, and it's also got your standard paintball valve, so these are paintball compatible. But I had them build me up some at 1400 psi, and these are paintball compatible, which means you don't have to get a fancy UFA, and it'll work with these internal adapters without modification. This one has been modified, like in this picture, with this brass pin coming out of it to access the valve. But the Pro V2s, they're compatible with all paintball stuff. And I did some testing the other day, and the difference between 1400 and 1600 psi was only 10 feet per second difference. And I tell people this quite a bit. If you're looking at your dial where it's at 1600 as opposed to where it would be at 1400, well, you're going to use more air because you're putting more pressure through it. So each shot uses more air. So it's going to climb down faster in pressure. And it's also going to hit 1600 faster than it would hit 1400. So these 1400 psi regulators, especially for direct connect, are a great option. So I have these available. Just hit me up at that email address or down in the comments below. All right, guys. Later.